Hey everybody out there. My name is Scott Gillen and I'll be giving a brief discussion on 20 of Donald Trump's biggest lies that he carried and said over his political career. Then after that, I'll have a short discussion on the danger of a Republican presidency, and then any Q&A after that. All right, so to start, in 4 years, Donald Trump made 30,573 false or misleading claims. That's a lot. And then by the fact checker database of the false or misleading claims made by President Trump while in office. This is a article from the Washington Post of January 20 of 2021. So the first thing he likes to say all the time, it's one of his most repeated claims, is that he says that his economy was the best economy in the history of the world. He says this all the time. It's the biggest false claim that he says. Okay, so here's what he says. We also built the greatest economy in the history of the world. Powered by these policies, we built the greatest economy in the history of the world. So that is false. Let's see. So that there should be no surprise. He said it twice in his farewell address. In the fact check database, they only count the falsehood once per venue. Just about any key measure in a modern era, Dwight D. Eisenhower, Lyndon B. Johnson, and Bill Clinton presided over stronger economic growth than Trump. The gross domestic product grew at an annual rate of 2.3% in 2019, slipping from 2.9% in 2018 and 2.4% in 2017. But in 1997, 1998, and 1999, the GDP grew 4.5%, 4.5%, and 4.7% respectively. Yet even that period paled in comparison with the post-war boom of the 1950s or the 1960s. Growth between 1962 and 1966 ranged from 4.4% to 6.6%. In 1950 and 1951, it was 8.7% and 8% respectively. Meanwhile, the unemployment rate reached a low of 3.5% under Trump. That is pretty good, I will say. But it dipped as low as 2.5% in 1953, which is better. After the novel coronavirus tanked the economy, Trump jacked up his claim even more, falsely saying it had been the greatest economy in the history of the world. By him saying this, it marks the 493rd time that Trump used a variation of this line, meaning he said it on average every other day. So what I'm trying to do here is a lot of people just take him for his word that Donald Trump tells the truth. And I know it's false, but I'm trying to help you guys understand that it is false. And I'm giving you proof that what he says and what he does are two different things. You can't just take him at his word, because if it's not the, and, or, it's pretty much a lie. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous for me to even say that, but for the most part, it's true. This man is the most prevalent liar in the history of the world. If in his first 4 years he made 30,573 false claims, by now, I'd imagine he's probably up around twice that, 3 times that, minimum. So we're looking at 120 some thousand lies that Donald Trump spews out to mislead you. So let's be smart, people. All right, so the next one. Okay, so January 20th of 2021, he says, we also got tax cuts, the largest tax cut and reform in the history of our country, by far. So, how many times has he repeated that lie? Well, in his first 4 years, it was 296 times. So apparently, when he likes a lie, he really sticks with it. So, okay, so what does he say? He remarks at his departure ceremony at Andrews Air Force Base, marks the 296th time he said it. Even before Trump's tax cut was crafted, he promised it would be the biggest in U.S. history, bigger than Ronald Reagan's 1981 tax cut. Reagan's tax cut amounted to 2.9% of the gross domestic product, and none of the proposals under consideration came close to that level. Yet Trump persisted in this fiction, even when the tax cut was eventually crafted to be equivalent to 0.9% of GDP, making it the 8th largest tax cut in 100 years. So, what he says and what he does, different. Another lie. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. January 20th of 2021. He says, we just got 75 million votes, and that's a record in the history of sitting presidents. And he repeated that one 19 times. Biden earned more than 81 million. That's a margin of 4.5 percentage points. Biden's margin in the popular vote is larger than Barack Obama's victory in 2012 and George Bush's victory in 2004. Trump ignores the fact that more Americans voted in the 2020 election, 2/3 of the voting eligible population, than in any other in 120 years. The big reason Trump himself was the most polarizing president in modern political history, inspiring fierce loyalty from Republicans and deep hostility from Democrats. In 2016, a lot of voters were indifferent about both Trump and his opponent, Hillary Clinton. After the past 4 years, few Americans don't have strongly held opinions about Trump, helping power record turnout for his 2020 general election opponent. Now, Donald Trump has seemed to get a voting block of people that generally didn't vote before. And I would kind of say that they are like more of the far right extremist types, the like preppers or the really save our country. Not even the guys that served in the military, but the wannabes that couldn't serve that now kind of go out and say, I got guns, look at me, right? So those types of people, although I know actually quite a few of them, and they're not bad people at all, but just like when I voted for him, I wanted a change. But this demographic is like alternate. They've never been in power. They got a taste of power, and they got a stranglehold on it, and they're not letting go. And now that Donald Trump is taking charge of the RNC, he's replacing all the normal people with these right-wing extremist Christian national MAGAs, right? That's like a whole mouthful of words, but they're taking a whole bunch of groups and they're just slopping them all together. And we got guns and God. So it's a dangerous combination. But all right, let's move on. The next one he likes to say, he repeated this one 84 times. One of the things we're very proud of is the selection of almost 300 federal judges and 3 great Supreme Court justices. That's a very big number. That's a record-setting number. Okay? So contrary to his boast, Trump did not achieve a record for appointing the most appeals court and district court judges. Bill Clinton has the record with 367 judicial appointments in his 2 terms, followed by Ronald Reagan with 358, and then George W. Bush with his 322. Through his 4 years, 226 judges nominated by Trump were confirmed by the Senate. That is still behind Jimmy Carter, who had 261 judges confirmed in his single term. George Washington appointed 39 judges during his presidency. Trump appointed 54 judges to the Federal Appeals Court, behind Carter's 59 appeals court appointments. Trump ranks second after Carter in terms of the number of district judges. He just edged out Clinton and George Bush. Trump often said he would appoint nearly 300 judges, but he ended up well short of that number. But he's still, what he does and what he says are always different. I mean, I give him credit. When he comes up with a lie, he beats that horse literally to death. So, let's call him on the carpet for his lies. I mean, is this not right? I mean, transparency is something that we were moving more and more towards. But Donald Trump does the exact opposite. He wants to be in the shadows. Everything he does is underhanded, sketchy, and then goes out and boasts about it. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous when you think about it. But okay. So the next one. Let's see. All right. He says, that's why regulation cuts. We have such good, and I have had such good job numbers. The job numbers have been absolutely incredible. Okay? So leaving aside Trump's claim about the impact of his regulation cuts, which is dubious, Trump leaves office as the first president since World War II to have fewer people employed than when he took office. Even before the pandemic struck, the manufacturing sector was in a technical recession. Now, this is one that a lot of people that I've come into contact, they use this as a defense to me, right? So usually when I try to interact with people, I do what I'm doing now. I give them facts that I can prove. I have multiple sources. Like this one, I'm using the Washington Post. And in this other article, I'm using CNN. So these are just 2 publications that refute Donald Trump's claims. And yeah, you can say that they're left-wing Democrat, which it's not true at all. CNN nowadays is more red than anything. So all these articles you still have to take with a grain of salt. But that's why I use multiple articles. But it still doesn't matter. He lies, and there's proof that he lies. And then he does this Donald Trump thing. And I actually used this on someone the other day. I made a comment, and they didn't like it. So I said, you know what? It doesn't matter if I said it or not. Even if you can prove it, I didn't say it. I don't know what you're talking about. And for some reason, these MAGA people take him at his word, and I don't care what proof that I provide to them, they will always take his side, no matter what evidence is provided. I mean, that to me is insane. That's like going to school and telling your teacher, nope, I'm right because I say I'm right. No logical person would ever be that way. But he commands these MAGA people, they believe, if he says it, they believe it. It doesn't matter. If he said it, I poop gold nuggets, I guess they would believe him. I don't know if it's because if they came out and said, okay, yeah, I understand that's a lie, that they're you know, I don't know, being mean to him or disgracing the MAGA thing, or even if once he's proven wrong, that's it. It's like they ride this lie till the end. Like there's nothing you can say. And I've come up with some pretty tough cookies, and they are really, if I had to say something about it, I would say they're batshit crazy. Like Marjorie and her Jewish space lasers, all her weirdness. But that's something else. Okay, moving on. Well, let's see. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time on these, but I have 52 of them, and I was only going to really do, look at 20. So we'll just kind of pick and choose. This one is great. Okay, so he's repeated this one 57 times. And he says, we took care of the vets, 91% approval rating. This 91% figure is based on an independent survey conducted in 2013 when President Barack Obama was in office. Yeah, see, he does that too. He takes credit for other people's stuff. And then when you prove that he's like ganking somebody else's accolades, no, that was him. He did it. That wasn't that guy. I'm like, dude, look at the date. Oh, I don't believe that. That article was lying. Then I would say, well, it's a government. This is government information. I got this off government.org sites. Oh, it's a conspiracy. They're all lying. I was like, holy shit. It doesn't matter what evidence you provide. If it goes against what Donald Trump says, they will argue with you. I've gotten in a couple of physical altercations with some of these people. Because I wouldn't relent. Like, no, this is evidence. This is like the cities report to the state capital. The state capital reports to the federal government. These are official government documents, and you're trying to insinuate that all of that is in this big conspiracy. For what reason? I mean, this is information that when he was in office, he his government cronies provide this information. It's the information they put out. So again, what he says and what he does, completely different. So, all right, continuing. He says, veterans strongly endorse VA healthcare, 90% offering positive assessments of inpatient care and 92% of outpatient care. According to a news release from the Department of Veteran Affairs announcing the survey results in 2014 when Obama was still in office, the VFW survey in 2019, by contrast, found 82% satisfaction of VA by veterans. In a Military Times poll, 1,018 active duty troops conducted this summer, nearly half had unfavorable view of Trump. The poll also showed a slight preference for Biden among respondents. And if you haven't heard, some of Donald Trump's cronies in the RNC are now suing the VA because vets can register to vote at the VA. So the RNC is suing the VA to stop allowing vets to register at the VA, which they have been doing for, actually I don't even know how many years, because pretty much the whole damn time. It's not like it's something new that when he claims the 2020 election was stolen, like it came out and started right then, and it's a conspiracy to steal the election, and because the people mailed in the votes and did all this other stuff, that's why I lost. No, man. If you're for vets, then you wouldn't be suing the VA because vets register to vote there. You're just trying to keep people from voting. You're trying to reduce the people that really don't like you, and you're trying to take away their vote. I mean, you already want to suspend the Constitution, and now you want to take people's voting rights away. I mean, you already took women's bodily autonomy away, which that's bad shit crazy. It's like me saying, Donald Trump, you cannot scratch your balls. If you scratch your balls, I'm gonna hack them off. I mean, how dumb is that? But, all right, moving on. Our beautiful vets, they were very badly treated before we came along. And as you know, we get them great service and we pick up the bill. And they can go out and they can see a doctor if they have to wait for long periods of time. He repeated this one 217 times. Trump does not mention VA choice, but he's referring to a Veterans Access Choice and Accountability Act that was signed by President Barack Obama in 2014. Again, he's trying to take credit for what somebody else did. What he says and what he does, two different things. Because when you call him out on the carpet about it, he still continues to lie. Because he's repeated this one 217 times. So, okay, in the wake of Phoenix VA Accountability Act, in the wake of Phoenix VA scandal, the law allows veterans to seek private medical care with costs covered in cases where VA wait times exceed a certain period. One of the lead authors was the late Senator John McCain, Republican of Arizona. This is one of Trump's most insidious falsehoods. Not only did he take more and more credit for the Senate in 2019, Trump signed the Mission Act in 2018, an update and expansion of the choice program. So, like I said, he's taking credit for someone else's work. Granted, he can claim a little because he did update in 2018. But he's not saying he made changes to it and made it better. What he's saying is that he did it and taking complete credit, which that's where the lie comes in. Okay, so this next one, he repeated this one 119 times. He says, we got it so we can sadly get rid of people that don't treat our vets properly. We didn't have any of those rights before when I came on. The Department of Veteran Affairs Accountability and Whistleblower Protection Act of 2017 was an important measure for the accountability and whistleblower protection at the VA. But this law builds on firing authority given to the VA secretary through the Choice, Accountability, and Transparency Act of 2014 in response to the 2014 Phoenix VA scandal. Trump frequently claims that before the law, no one could be fired, but the agency fired about 2,000 people a year before the law was enacted. The baseline rate of firing in the VA before the law was about 220 people a month, and under Trump, it has increased to about 290 people a month. So again, he made a little change and takes credit for the whole thing. So, okay. Let's see. We already covered his economic. Let's see. We passed the largest package of tax cuts and reforms in American history. He repeated this one 296 times. Trump's tax cut amounts to nearly 0.9% of the gross domestic product, meaning it's a far smaller than President Reagan's tax cut in 1981, which was 2.89% of GDP. Trump's tax cut is the 8th largest tax cut, and even smaller than 2 tax cuts passed under Barack Obama. Trump's tax cut was heavily tilted toward the wealthy and corporations. Yeah, see, a lot of people come back at me about that one too. They said, we all had more money when Trump was in office. Now, granted, he did pass the stimulus, which, all right, good on him. for doing that because, I benefited from that. Who doesn't like some free money? But he also added more money to the U.S. debt than any other president in history. But that's not one of those pieces of information that he likes to claim as one that he did, right? Because it's a negative. He said, "Oh no, not me, not me." But yes, in his 4 years, he added more money to the U.S. debt than any other president in history. So, all right, Trump, you can claim that one, and I'm giving it to you. All right. What do we got here? All right, here's one. Terrorism during Trump's presidency. Trump claimed that during his presidency there was very little terrorism. We had none. I had 4 years of we had no terrorism. We didn't have a World Trade Center knocked down. Well, the fact is, while it's true, of course, that Trump's presidency didn't feature anything comparable to the 2001 terrorist attack on the World Trade Center, his claim that we had no terrorism isn't true. There were a variety of terrorist attacks on the U.S. during his term. Trump's own Justice Department alleged that a mass murder in New York City in 2017, which killed 8 people and injured others, was a terrorist attack carried out in support of ISIS. Trump repeatedly lamented this attack during his presidency. Trump's Justice Department also alleged that a 2019 attack by an extremist member of the Saudi Arabian military, which killed 3 U.S. service members and injured others at a military base in Florida, was motivated by a jihadist ideology and was carried out by a longtime associate of al-Qaeda. There were various additional terrorist attacks during Trump's presidency. Notably, Trump's Justice Department said a domestic terrorist attack when one of Trump's supporters mailed improvised explosive devices to CNN, prominent Democratic officials, and other people in 2018. Now, in 2019, a white supremacist pleaded guilty to multiple charges in New York, including first-degree murder and a furtherance of an act of terrorism for killing a black man in March of 2017 to try to start a race war. And Trump's Justice Department described the 2019 shooting massacre at a Walmart in Texas as an act of domestic terrorism. The gunman who killed 23 people was targeting Latinos. So, to say there was no terrorism, again, misleading. So it's a lie. What he says and what he does, 2 different things. Thank you, and I will see you guys again.